In the last episode, Preparata frames World War I as the first act in what he terms a Eurasian siege, the encirclement of Germany, the prevention of a Russo-German alliance, and the shaping of imperial confrontation. Now we arrive at the interwar world, and here Preparata's argument becomes even more provocative. Because the question after 1918 is not simply, why did Germany lose? The question is, what kind of peace was constructed afterward, and what did that peace make possible? Versailles as settlement and stranglehold. Preparata treats Versailles not as reconciliation, but as a punitive containment structure. Germany is defeated, humiliated, burdened with reparations, yet not dismantled completely. This is crucial for his thesis. Germany remains intact enough to be useful, but unstable enough to be dangerous. In Preparata's framework, Versailles is not merely an act of vengeance. It is a geopolitical arrangement, a Germany constrained, resentful, and suspended. A defeated power left in a kind of limbo, too strong to disappear, too broken to stabilize. This, he suggests, is the terrain in which reaction can germinate. The Bolshevik Revolution as imperial shock. Then comes the second rupture, Russia. The Bolshevik Revolution transforms the European equation. A new ideological force emerges. A vast empire withdraws from the old order and becomes unpredictable. Preparata argues that for Western elites, Bolshevism functions as both existential fear and strategic opportunity. Fear because it threatens property and hierarchy, opportunity because it can justify new allegiances, new interventions, new reactionary forces. This is one of his major themes. Radical revolution produces the demand for radical containment, and containment breeds authoritarian instruments. Weimar as incubator. Preparata's view of Weimar Germany is stark. Weimar is not simply a fragile democracy overwhelmed by misfortune. It is, in his telling, an incubator, a space of engineered volatility. Germany experiences hyperinflation, humiliation, political fragmentation, dependence on foreign loans. Preparata interprets this instability not as accidental, but as paced, managed, allowed. The key is that crises do not merely happen. They can be prolonged, they can be exploited, they can be turned into political fertilizer. And in soil like this, reactionary movements thrive. The early logic of conjuring. Now we come to the heart of Preparata's title. He argues that Hitler was not simply the product of German rage. He was the product of a strategic environment in which reaction was cultivated. Preparata claims that Anglo-American elites tampered with German politics in the interwar years, seeking a force that could later be used as a geopolitical pawn. This is a very strong allegation, and it must be read carefully. The sober version is not that elites created Hitler as if designing a machine, but that instability, financing, diplomacy, and strategic calculation shaped the conditions of possibility. Preparata wants us to see Hitler not as an inexplicable demon, but as an instrument that emerged within a system of imperial rivalry. At this point, we need to pause. Preparata writes polemically. he often presents Anglo-British strategy as unusually coherent across long stretches of time. History is rarely so unified. There are factions, disagreements, competing priorities, misjudgments. So the responsible way to read this chapter is not one cabal invented Hitler. That is not, strictly speaking, Preparata's claim. His argument is narrower and more unsettling. He is not saying that Hitler was designed like a machine. He is saying that a strategic environment was shaped in which certain outcomes became increasingly likely. Versailles constrained Germany without stabilizing it. Bolshevism introduced an existential fear into elite calculation. Weimar was left economically dependent, politically fractured, and strategically exposed. Within that environment, reaction did not need to be created. It only needed to be cultivated. Financing decisions, diplomatic tolerances, strategic priorities, all interacted to shape what forces could rise, and which ones were blocked, absorbed, or ignored. Preparata's claim is not that history was scripted. It is that instability was structured, and that once such a structure exists, the emergence of extreme political instruments is no longer mysterious. That is the argument. So Chapter 2, in Preparata's arc, sets the stage. Versailles constrains Germany without resolving it. Bolshevism shocks the imperial order. Weimar becomes unstable terrain. Reaction begins to incubate. Hitler is not yet the ruler, but the conditions of his possibility are being prepared. In the next episode, Preparata moves into the economic machinery of the 1920s. The loan-driven prosperity, the American role, and the collapse that opens the door for extremism. Because in this book, the monster does not appear fully formed. It is conjured slowly through crisis. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe for more videos on Conjuring Hitler and many other topics.